Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastite Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishvanuste Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advait Gadadhara Shivasati Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare नमामि विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिते निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे. Thank you for coming, everyone. So we'll read the words from the slides and then we'll go to the Dashamrita. So verse number 7, Dashamrita. Spare obeisances to Shri Radha Govinda before we go ahead. So we are still in the first 7 topics which explain Videhi Sadhana Bhakti. Verse 8 explains Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. 9 to 11 is Bhav Bhakti and Prem Bhakti. So the preface of the Nectar of Instruction talks about Krishna consciousness and the means of attaining it. Text 1 talks about controlling the 6 urges. Text 2 talks about obstacles, 6 obstacles to devotional service. Text 3, 6 principles at 8 devotional service. 4, 6 loving exchanges. 5 is association with devotees according to the level of advancement. Then 6, how do we associate with the pure devotee? What things we see in them and what we don't. How do we see a devotee? Today is a glorification of the chanting of the holy name. So in order to come to the platform of Uttama Bhakti, we must first cleanse our consciousness of the materialistic contamination that covers the mirror of the heart. Okay, by careful chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra every day, we gradually become cured of the jaundice of ignorance and revive the knowledge of our blissful constitutional position as Krishna's servants. So it's about the glorification. If anyone would like to recite the verse, you can raise your hand or unmute. Syat Krishna Nama Charitadi Sitapi Avidya Pitto Patapta Rasanaya Narochikanu Kintva Adarad Anudinam Khalau Saiva Jushta Swadvi Kramad Bhavati Tad Gadamula Hantri. So that was the Krishna Nam Charitra Adi. So holy name, Charitra character, pastimes and activities of Krishna are all transcendently sweet like sugar candy. Although the tongue of one afflicted by jaundice of avidya, ignorance, cannot taste anything sweet, it is wonderful that simply by carefully chanting these sweet names every day, a natural relish awakens within his tongue and the disease is gradually destroyed at the root. Okay, so let's go to Kindle. So Swat Krishna Nam Charitra Adi. So Adi means what? It means like name, pastimes, but we were saying name, pastimes. What else was there? Name, pastimes, activities, and character. So are all absolute and sweet like sugar. Sita api avidya. So but due to ignorance. Pittoptata rasanaya na rochikanu. One cannot relish them, just as the tongue of one afflicted by jaundice tastes sweet and bitter. Kitva adarad anudinam khalau saiva chushta. Yet by careful and daily treatment, eating sweets or chanting Krishna's name, Swadi kramat bhavati tadgada mula hantri. A natural relish awakens in the tongue to taste Krishna's name and the jaundice of ignorance is destroyed at the root. Okay, so what is the basic flow of the verse? That everything about Krishna is very sweet. Name of Krishna, pastimes of Krishna, character of Krishna, form of Krishna is very sweet. But there is a verse in Sikshashtakam which also talks like this, but we don't have an attachment for it. As much as the person who's afflicted with jaundice tastes sweet as bitter. Well, what is the treatment of the jaundice, that give the sweet sugar candy, and then that actually cures the disease. Similarly, the more we chant, the more we get cured of this material disease, which is compared to the jaundice. So jaundice is a disease, remedy is the sugar. In healthy condition, we know that, at least theoretically, that I am the eternal servant of Krishna. But in disease condition, what is disease condition? Avidya. Okay, avidya is compared to disease. That we get, we lose the chanting, the taste for chanting of Krishna's name. That is a problem. That's like, writing a treatment plan for a person. You first have to identify what the problem is. The problem is that there is a disease. And then next is, what is a disease? The disease is that avidya is covering the original taste. And what is the original taste? That the original taste is that the Krishna's name, pastimes, qualities, character are all very, very sweet. So in material world, this is a very nice thing Prabhupada writes in the purport. Maya is called Dur Ashraya. Dur Ashraya means false shelter. Looks like it's a shelter, but it's false. Like a mirage, it looks like there's water, but there's no water. So it's false. That's like, if we take shelter of the three modes of material nature, or anything in this material world which we are not connecting to Krishna, is false. False shelter in the sense that it's not that it is not existing, in the sense that it is temporary and will get destroyed in the due course of time. So one who puts his faith in it is hoping against the hope for happiness. We struggle for existence, and then we to become happy, and then we become baffled. And then what happens in this struggle? We are trying to rectify one mistake by making another mistake, but we don't take to Krishna consciousness. So can you give an example? We try to rectify one mistake by making another mistake. That Prabhupada gives any example in the Shastras? Hmm? Prabhupada gives example that, each nation is trying to become a very powerful nation, right? So they're trying to become happy because they think that by becoming more powerful or having more dominance over other nation is going to make us very powerful. So what do? They discover all these bombs, atomic bombs, nuclear bombs. And then Prabhupada says this is a mistake because death is coming anyway. So to expedite the death is not something which is very civilized way of living. Do something by which we don't die. So it's like in ignorance, we try to rectify one mistake by committing another mistake. That's one example. And then we don't take to Krishna consciousness. And then it comes to leaders, because the leaders are not surrendered to Krishna, they mislead common people. This is very important. So it's very important for us, if we are going to be a leader, or if we are going to recognize someone as leader, that is this soul surrendered to Krishna or not? If it is a soul not surrendered to Krishna, then it will just be filled with mistake and will only mislead people. I can say that with 100% surety, because there'll be only ways to get self-recognition, not for somebody who's who they are leading, who they are trying to lead. Or the leadership will fall short of bringing the dependent to the spiritual realization. There may be some sort of altruism, nationalism, philanthropism, but there will not be any spiritualism. So what do we do? If we are saying there's so many problems, what do we do? So what do we do is we, just the sugar candy is a treatment for medicine for jaundice. Krishna's name is the remedy to improve spiritual health of humanity. So sugar candy tastes bitter initially to the jaundice patient. The holy name is not immediately relishable to one who is materially engrossed. This is from Padma Puran. But by regularly taking sugar candy, one's jaundice is cured and sugar becomes tasteful to him. Similarly, by chanting Hare Krishna and Sadhusanga with enthusiasm, faith, and patience, one is freed from false ego and born of ignorance, and revives the natural taste and one's spiritual identity. So Krishna consciousness is very unique in the sense that sadhya and sadhan are the same. Like the perfection and the means to attain the perfection, both the processes are same. So what is the perfection? That I become Krishna conscious fully. I become realized. What is the way to become Krishna conscious? Chant Krishna's name. So both sadhya and sadhan are same. There is no difference. What is a neophyte devotee doing? Chanting Hare Krishna. What is the most advanced devotee doing? Chanting Hare Krishna, like Haridas Thakur. Okay, so chanting Hare Krishna. My spiritual master said once that somebody came to him, is Maharaj, there is this problem, that problem, this problem. What do we do? So Maharaj said, he said that he advised Hare Krishna to chant Hare Krishna. Said, yes, we're chanting Hare Krishna, but the problem is, and my grandma said, you're not hearing me. I said, the solution is chant Hare Krishna. I, of course, don't know what the nitty-gritty detail was, but it says that we actually try to solve our problems outside of Krishna consciousness because we kind of live parallel lives. Okay, there's Krishna consciousness, but there's also my life. But that's not the way, because Krishna's service has to go on wherever we go in every sphere of our life. So it has to be in unison. It doesn't have to be running like, okay, I'm going to switch my role from this to that. No, everything, if I'm going to work, it's a service. If I'm raising a family, it's a service. If I'm doing my japa, it's a service. Okay, so Prabhupada explains that this is the truth, that chanting Hare Krishna is indeed the solution to this problem. As because this is verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita, he gives reference. Krishna Surya Sama Maya hai andhakar, jahan Krishna taha nahi Maya adhikar. Because the ignorance or Maya will not be able to stand where Krishna is, because Krishna is like the sun. So you chant Hare Krishna, bring Krishna in the life, and then it dissipates the darkness. So when we if we discuss, or when we'll discuss the Shikshashtaka verses, the first verse, Cheto Darpana Marjana Bhavama Davagni Nirvapanam Shreya Kairva Chantika Vidaranam Vidyavada Jivanam Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam Pratipadam Purnamnita Swadanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. That verse has 7 benedictions. Okay, so there are 7 benedictions in that verse. It says, so Prabhupada is taking up that Cheto Darpana Marjanam. What happens is, chanting Hare Krishna, we are rubbing our consciousness, we're cleansing it. And then what happens? What is the second benediction? Cheto Darpana Marjanam is the first benediction. Second benediction, Bhav Mahadavagni Nirvapanam. One is free from the blazing fire of the material existence. And of course it goes. Because our life, he says in first canto 8 chapter, I think it's verse number 27, Prabhupada lecture, he says that our life in the material world is a struggle. There's nothing else. The more we are able to fight the odds, the more we think that we are happy. But that's not a struggle. That's not the way of becoming happy. And if we go deep in the stages of chanting, how do we say that chanting Hare Krishna is a treatment? Because there are stages, like Nama Parad, Nama Bhasan, Shuddha Nam. Nam Aparad is the offensive stage where we commit 10 basic offenses. Nam Abhas is the stage of lessening offenses. And Shuddhanam is the stage at which we relish the spiritual, the holy name. And there are 10 basic offenses, but I think we discussed this, that what is the mother of all offenses? Which offense? There are 10 offenses, but which is the mother of all offenses?
Inattentive chanting, Master.
Inattentive chanting.
Yes. Yeah, so inattentive chanting is the mother of all offenses. So if we can chant attentively. And then comes the discussion of stages of bhakti. Like Shraddha is like begins with the faith, which we discussed in the previous verses also. That faith means what? What does faith mean? What does faith mean? Hmm? What does enthusiasm mean? In that verse, right? Shraddha, Utsaha. What does enthusiasm mean?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, faith means, is the conviction that Krishna is the only one who can protect me.
Very nice. Okay, and what does enthusiasm mean?
Enthusiasm means once you are having that faith that you belong to Krishna, you serve him, very enthusiastically with lots of emotion and,
Nice. So enthusiasm means endeavoring with intelligence. Okay, and faith means that exclusive dependence on Krishna. Okay. Not everything is going to have a very logical explanation. Prabhupada gives an example that the stool of an animal is a stool is a contaminant, but cow dung is used in deity worship. So how do you explain this? Or bone of an animal is untouchable, but conch shell is used in the deity worship. How do you explain this? Based on the faith. Okay, so faith, sadhu sangha is like sadhu sangha means associating with like-minded devotees. And then bhajan kriya. So when one comes to bhajan kriya, one takes initiation. Okay, between sadhu sangha and bhajan kriya, some sources say sadhu sangha leads to initiation, some sources say bhajan kriya. This okay, between sadhu sangha and bhajan kriya, there is a step of initiation. And then after initiation, if one is following the vows very seriously, it leads to anartha nivritti. The unwanted habits are shed off. And then nishtha, one becomes fixed in Krishna activities. Then ruchi. Nishtha, so faith becomes nishtha after anartha nivritti. Fixed. Ruchi is taste, asakti, fully attached to bhakti, bhava, experience ecstasy, which is a preliminary stage of loving Krishna. And there are certain stages in it, and then prema is pure love for Krishna. So this verse begins with identifying the problem, which is avidya, and it ends with if we continue to follow the process of chanting the holy name of the Lord, then it leads us to the pure bhakti, which explained as the 9 stages of bhakti, which of course is a very deep topic in itself. Okay, I'll quickly go to the slides. So holy name, is it bitter or is it sweet? So Krishna's name, Naam, Roop, Gun, Leela, is actually compared to sugar candy. Ignorance is compared to jaundice. Being diseased individually, we forget Krishna. And material solution creates a new problem. So material solution is never a solution to any of our material problem. Any of our material problem, the solution have to be spiritual. Collectively, we have the blind materialistic leaders who are leading us. Or we become like that. Don't surrender to Krishna. Oppose those who are trying to surrender to Krishna. Right? If you go to the history of ISKCON, in Australia, so many devotees were put in jail in Prabhupada time because of chanting and dancing on the public roads. And they were, and then Prabhupada, and there was a court case, and they approached Prabhupada. Prabhupada, the lawyer is asking $1,400 to fight on our behalf. Prabhupada said, no lawyer is needed, chant Hare Krishna. They chanted Hare Krishna, they represented themselves, and they won the case. So the judge said that these people are innocent and they are not trying to cause any mishap. So it's explained in Bhagavatam, those words which do not describe the glories of the Lord, who alone can sanctify atmosphere of the whole world, whole universe, are conceived by saintly person to be like onto a place of pilgrimage for crows, since the all perfect persons are inhabitants of transcendental abode, do not derive any pleasure there. Tadvag visargo janataga vipravo yasmin prati shloka baddhavadapi. Tadvad visargo janataga viplavo yasmin prati shloka baddhavadapi. Namani anantasya yashwantakaniyas tranvanti gayanti grinanti sadhavaha. So, these are the places we don't, the people who are all perfect person, they do not derive any pleasure. Krishna says that there are 4 kind of people who do not surrender unto me. We read this, right? Namam dushkritana mudha prapadyante naradhama maya pratagyana asurim bhavam ashritaha. So immediately, if somebody is very resistant to surrender to Krishna, they come in one of the 4 categories. What is the source of suffering? Avidya. About what? Who am I? I'm thinking I'm the body. Or at the most, I'm the mind. Ahankar or false ego within the heart. The real disease is in the heart. Bhaktivinoda Thakur Prabhupada talks about this. Weakness of the heart. In 15th chapter Bhagavad Gita, last verse, Prabhupada talks about weakness of the heart. That I want to suffer because I like what's the anartha that I'm carrying. Why? Because of the material attraction. I'm not trying to find fault. We're just trying to discuss out the problem. Okay, we're not trying to find fault or anything. So how do we relieve the suffering? Cheto darpana marjanam. If the chitta or consciousness is cleaned, person cannot be harmed by the material disease. To cleanse the mind and heart from all misconception, one should take to this chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Both easy and beneficial. Okay, immediately one is free from the Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam. So if there's any problem, and there's always problem in the material world, there's always problem. Chant Hare Krishna always. That's why Krishna says, Satatam Kirtayanto Mam. In Bhagavad Gita, he says this. So because we are always in the midst of problems, so we have to chant Krishna's name always. The holy name is the cure. Holy name is like a touchstone. It can grant all desirable objects to the chanter. The stages of chanting, there is darkness or offensive stage, which is called Namaprad. Then the dawn is Namabhas, or chanting the lessening offenses or clearing the stage. And then the beginning of the sunrise is Shuddha Nama, or pure stage. Then where the full manifestation of the sun happens. There is a book. I have to look at I have the book by Sachidanand Maharaj about the holy name. I read that book and Maharaj is explaining just about the process of chanting. And his Mahatma Das, because it's my targets are chanting, because it's our most potent weapon against her. To the degree you allow her to distract you from chanting well, you become malleable to her will. So it is important that we chant with utmost attention. And then, what are the offenses? Can anyone list the offenses, or should I just go down the list? What do you want me to do? Should I go down the list, or you will read it?
I read Mataji.
Okay, can read it. To blaspheme the... Go ahead, Prabhu.
To blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for the propagating of holy name of the Lord. To consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or to be independent of the name of the Lord Vishnu. To disobey the orders of the spiritual master. To blaspheme the Vedic scriptures or scriptures in pursuance of the Vedic version. To consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be an imagination. To give some interpretations to the holy name of the Lord. To commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name. To consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities, karma kanda. To instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. To not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy name and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting.
Yeah, thank you. So the mother of all offenses is
Yes.
um,
Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must guard against these devotees in order to quickly achieve the desired success. Krishna Prema.
yeah, in these offenses. Yeah, so the mother of all offenses is the inattentive chanting. And then, of course, the 9 stages of bhakti, and we know this: Shraddha, Sadhusanga, Bhajan Kriya, Anartha Nivritti. So, Shraddha, Sadhusanga, Bhajan Kriya, Anartha Nivritti is compared to going up the mountain, climbing up the mountain. It's the hardest stages. And then Nishta is at the peak, and then from there on, you are just, it's a smooth ride. After Nishta, Richi, Asakti, Bhava, Prema. Okay, so is it that the Shraddha, Sadhusanga, Bhajan Kriya, Anartha, Nivritti are the most difficult stages to go through? So the questions in your book are: what is the meaning of Jivira Saruphaik Krishna Nitya Das? Let me know if you don't know the answer to any of these. And define Durasaya. 3 stages of chanting of the holy name, list them. And at what stage can Maya not disturb a devotee? What stage? What stage Maya does not disturb a devotee?
Bhava stage.
What, my Prabhu?
Bhava stage.
I couldn't understand.
He said Bhava Mataji.
Bhava. Okay, yeah.
Bhava.
Very nice. Bhava stage. Okay, any questions? To understand, read this verse again, I would say. And then go through it again. I'll show you the slides also, but now read it with this understanding. It looks like these are very small verses, but they're very dense. There's a lot of information shared. So don't ever get cheated that, okay, there's only 11 verses, but they're very, very dense. There's a lot there that goes inside, especially the verse 8. So please do read verse 8 before you come, because it's difficult to understand. Let me just go offline. Any questions?